Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching me from. This is your brother, your friend, Humanist Steven on Matter Arising with Humanist Steven. Today is going to be a very intriguing and interesting one. Arising with Humanist Steven. Today is going to be a very. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to. So today is going to be a very interesting day. Please, guys, as you're just coming in, just press the share button. As you're coming in, press the share button and let's share button and so let's invite people to the show. Please just be pressing the share button, giving us like, press the share button, give us like, press the share button. It's going to be very explosive tonight. Again, guys, just press the share button, give us likes. And I want to get as much as people as we can on the show. Just come in, press the share button, give us some likes. Let's shoot the show. Let's continue with the show. Okay, guys, let's continue with the show. I'm going to do my, if I can, just press my own buttons and let's see how much we can go. To see how much we can go. Okay, guys. Please just press your share button. Let's invite people to the show tonight. If you love the South, you want to get the freedom that you desire, it is time you press the share button as we kick the show starting. As we kick the show starting. Yes, guys, it's going to be something explosive today again. Please just press the share button. Invite people into the show. Let's see what we have to talk about today. Okay, guys? Yeah, please, as you just come in, just press the share button. Press the share button. Let's kick off today. Yeah, in the morning today, I actually came up with a very when I was doing my morning dose, I came up and I made an announcement over what is happening in Nigeria because of the the high rate of insecurity that is actually taking place in Nigeria, and I also came up with the Nnamdi Kanu Eastern Security Network that Nnamdi Kanu set up on Sunday, which I feel it was a good good afternoon. Abbas is, which I think it was a very good one from his side, despite my little observations on it. I want to say that with the rate at which the IPOB are going, if they actually do this well, they're going to get a lot of support from the people, from their people. Okay. Coco, just relax first. We're going to make the unity work, okay? Now, let me first of all play a video for you. Let me play this video for you. This video might be a little bit, might give you an insight of what we are actually experiencing in in Nigeria right now, okay, in a sane society, with the rate at which insecurity is ravaging the entire state of Nigeria, the certain leaders, if they're actually interested in the development of the South, would have by now start planning on how they will be able to secure the certain state. Go check the entire South. They are so relaxed, as if nothing is actually happening. Except the Yorubas, who actually came up with Amotekun, who had actually also done well in the area of controlling the invasion of the Fulani headers into the southwest Nigeria. I just got a reliable news just now from someone who called me. He said that one of the leaders of the Yorubas Oduduwa movement said over 1,000 outlets, in only Ondo State, where the Fulani elders are camping in the forest. Over 1,000 outlets. Over 1,000 outlets. You see, we might call that very particular Eastern Security Network illegal. But with the presence of the crowd you saw there, will actually give whoever that is coming to the East a little fear. If even it is illegality as we claim it to be, there will be some level of fear on whoever that is coming into the Eastern State, having seen such a mammoth crowd, ready to relate down their lives in order to protect their region. Okay? Now, how are we going to solve this menace that we find ourselves today? Our leaders, our governors, our senators, our House of Rep, local government chairman, House of Assembly, councillors, every representative of the southern Nigeria have failed us. They failed us completely. They failed us woefully. And we need to rise up and take our destinies into our hands. Not by fighting them with guns and cutlass. No. We need to exit them from government come 2023. I know very soon Anambra State is going to have an election. Let the youth of Anambra take a decision on who will govern them. We can't sit. Listen, guys. The first step to freedom is meta freedom. I repeat, the first step to freedom is meta freedom. The youth of the South needs to get themselves free mentally from the shackles of the leaders. They've used us against us. They've given us guns to kill ourselves. And they have continuously used us against the progress of our future. A true leader, a leader that actually had the people at heart, will begin to get worried. Haven't seen what is happening around the whole of the North. They will start fidgeting, finding a permanent solution to the political uprising that's already and gradually eating deep into the northern states. If our leaders actually have you and I at heart, they will by today be thinking on how they can be able to protect their borders between the north and the southern Nigeria. But these our leaders are not doing. They feel so comfortable. They think the problem is a northern problem, forgetting that these people are actually mobile. They are not static. They are in motion. So the possibility that they are going to move into the south in a no distant time is very, very realistic. Like I said today, in the south, in Ondo State, somebody said over 1,000 camps of the Fulani herdsmen is around Ondo. Imagine 1,000 camps. And I know each camp will have a minimum of 10 persons. So we already had over 600 Fulani herders, or 100 Fulani herders. No, sorry, 1,000 times 10. That is 10,000 Fulani herders, which have already surrounded Ondo, based on the information that I got. If that is the case, then you will know the day the whistle will be blown, PPP, they will outrun the entire Ondo State in the twinkle of an eye. I have said it before. I came across one of these guys called the Fulanis. When he was being interviewed, he couldn't speak Hausa language. Rather, he was only speaking the Fuda language, which is the Fulani language, and French. That shows that very particular elder who was a tourist. He was on army uniform the day he was called by the soldiers. Was not even a Nigerian. He was from the Niger Republic or from Gabon. But they came into Nigeria through the porous borders in the north. And when they come in, they come straight to the south, create havoc, rape our mothers, rape our sisters, rape our wives, kill our fathers, our brothers, and uncles, destroy our properties, and at the end of it all, our certain governors will sit in the comfort of their offices and pretend that nothing is happening, whereas war is actually facing them, koro. If anybody will blame Nnamdi Kanu for trying to stand up for his people, I do not blame him. I have said in most of my videos, I have no problem with Nnamdi Kanu. The only problem I have is not speaking with other people who are within the certain region in order for us to have a collabo. I have said in series of my videos, the only thing I see in all that Nnamdi Kanu is doing is his approach of not carrying the other people along. If not, I think the guy is trying to protect his people from the unavoidable attacks that will be coming up on the Nigerian people. Believe it or not, guys, accept it or reject it, the South is already being invaded by these elders. I just saw a news today, I don't know how true it is, that the federal government is planning to come and hold a farm in Edo State. I don't know how true that news is. I saw it on YouTube. And I believe when this video is out, somebody will be able to give me a proper analysis of what kind of farm that the federal government is planning to actually come and open in Edo State. Sorry, guys. I hope and I believe it is not the Ruger system that we rejected 2 years ago that the federal government is trying to bring behind from the back into Edo State. I hope that is not the case. I am not insinuating anything, but I am only informing my people of the intentions of the government in trying to impose foreigners who are not actually Nigerians on us because they speak the same language. It is just like a Yoruba president, for example, Olusegun Obasanjo, we go to Benin Republic. Because Benin speaks Yoruba, you will now begin to import the Benin Republic people into Nigeria because they actually speak Yorubas. We will not give them the liberty, the leverage to commit havoc of the highest magnitude because they are from the same tribe with him, but not from the same country. That is one thing that I am saying today, that the youth had what it takes. We, the youth, we are about 60 or 70% of the population of Nigeria, both from the north to the south. If the northern youth refuses to accept what we, the southern youth, are talking about, we can begin the restructuring by sacking every political leaders who do not have the interest of the southern Nigeria at heart. That will be the first way to go. So that when we are not able to now eradicate these political criminals in the south, it will not give us the platform for us to now sit down and decide the future of our region. With the way and manner the Nigerian system is structured today, and with the way and manner these certain leaders are selling out, all because of peanuts, it will take the grace of God and the intervention of the ancestors for us to be able to win this war when we are not united. The youth, we have no enemy. We are being brainwashed. We are being deceived by these leaders who are actually the one that is the enemy of the people. That a Benin man is an enemy to an Igbo man. That an Igbo man is an enemy to a Yoruba man. They inculcate into us those things that they know will divide us more, and try to hide those things that they know will unite us together. It is a tactics. These tactics worked in the days of old, when they want to create enmity between communities. They will start lying to kings that, oh, your king, this man is coming to invade you. They don't say, oh, your king is coming to invade you. Now, the moment that is not being done, before they know, two united kingdom will start fighting based on information that was never true. This is what this enemy of the youth in the south are doing in collaboration with their slave masters in the north. I want every youth to wake up. Let's put our differences aside. Let's unite together and fight a common fight. The grandson, the guy who is fighting for Juduwa, I am calling on you today. Mazi Unadikano, I am calling on you. Don Pedro Abaseki, Asari Dokuba, Magnus Orika, wounded civilian, and every one of you that are actually fighting for the betterment of the South. It is time we all sit on a round table talk and understand the plans and the evil agenda of the people who are actually ruling us today. How can 333 students kidnapped and the old Satan governors are still sitting in their comfort of their offices without not making a statement, without not running a task to see that such an act never happens in their state or in their region? That tells you the unpreparedness of these people. So if Nnamdi Kanu will wake up and decide to create such an outfit, I know that there's a lot of illegality in it, but who's going to blame him? Having seen what happened in those states, having seen the trauma that would have befell the children, the family of these people, knowing fully well, guys, that if peradventure these hoodlums who are bandits, kidnappers, or the Boko Harams decided to invade a guest boarding house in the south, guys, let's start thinking now. Every you start thinking, if peradventure these bloodsuckers decided to invade a guest grammar school in the southern Nigeria. Please share this video, guys. Let's share this video. This is very important for me. Share this video. Give me a lot of likes. Now, and you know, Lai Shaibu is still there. Leah Shaibu is still there. It is an example of what will happen if our guests are being kidnapped in the south. When the Dapchi guests were kidnapped, they released the other Muslim guests, held only the Christian girl up to tomorrow. So you now imagine if these hoodlums succeeds in penetrating any of the Satan schools and cater away with our young kids, our children, you will imagine with your greatest imagination what will become of our children. If they can release over 200 Dapchi girls who were Muslims and held only one Christian among them captive till tomorrow, your guess, I think, is as good as mine. This is why I am really pissed off with the Satan leaders, from the governors down to the senator to House of Rep, every political office holder in the South. I am really pissed off with them. In the face of this magnitude of insecurity, you do not keep quiet. When you know the military architecture of today is controlled by the Fulanis, when you know the military architecture of today is under the grip of the northern oligarchies, and you sit very comfortable in your office, not minding what will happen when you are being invaded. It will dawn on you, sirs, that when one of our mother was raped to death, a pregnant one was raped to death in Enugu State, and the husband was hung on a tree, watching these hoodlums raping this woman to death. And when the youth of that village wanted to do a reprisal, the military swamped in on them and picked them up and locked these people in the guard room. After their own father, their own mother was murdered in cold blood. I also said a story here a few days ago how an Hausa man or a cattle rearer went into someone's farm with his cattle, destroyed the crops in the south, in Delta State. And the owner of the crops got angry, came out with a gun, a dead gun, and gunned down two of the cattle and chased this cattle rearer with a gun. This cattle rearer went to the police station, to the army barrack, and made a report against the owner of the farm. The owner of the farm was arrested. He was charged to court, and he was asked to pay for the 2 cows that he killed. When actually these Fulani elders went into his farm and destroyed his crop that he had labored for all the year. There's also a video that was in Edo State, in Odigif, precisely, where these cattle herders came into the village. They began to shoot periodically at the people because one of their cattle went into another man's farm and the cattle was killed. Over 10 or thereabout people were injured in that attack on the village. How many of these I cannot count? That is happening to us in the south, and our leaders are untied. It's like they are on handcuff, doing nothing to protect their people. When you speak, some youth who are political jobbers will swing on you, wanting to destroy, to dismantle you for saying the obvious truth. I am not a political apologist. I am a humanist. I believe in the sanctity of human beings. Life is sacrosanct to me. So that's why I bear the title humanist. And I want to believe that life is not worth taking for whatsoever reason. So if those people who have the responsibility of protecting me and my family and everyone that is human in my community couldn't do that, it is time we tell them bye-bye to the position. We can't keep fighting, losing our young ones to the brutal force of these people, when actually the people who are supposed to protect us are actually doing nothing to guide us. We must continue to speak truth to power, undermining whosoever that his ego is going to be busted. I don't give a damn anymore. If our leaders are refusing to talk because they are afraid of the money that they have made, they should step aside and give those of us that have what it takes to speak. I have nothing to lose. All the thing listen, guys. Many of us, we had a dream. Like Martin Luther King once said, I had a dream. We had a dream. But our dream is fading before our eyes. Many of the intellectuals in the South have left the South and wandered into exile. Some of you don't know. Those of you that live in America, in Europe, in Australia, in Asia, we are all living in exile. We are living in exile. Many of us have not come home in the last 20 years. We are actually living in exile, guys. What makes you to leave home? You have to be insecurity or poverty or hopelessness. Makes you to wander into a faraway land, believing that you're going to get a greener pasture. Not because you love being here, but you have no choice because you have given yourself a self-exile because the leadership of your country had refused to do the needful in making you to be what you are expected to have been. If a governor of a state is not able to protect the lives and property of his state, he had already failed. Okay, guys? Now, under the law, as the chief security officer of the state, you have the power. This is what I've just found out now. You have the power to create your own security outfit, all in the name of vigilante. We have the civilian JTF in the north, precisely in Borno State, in the northeast. They have the civilian JTF. They were never registered while they began operation. They went into operation when they saw the excessive killings, the bombings created by the Boko Haram. They decided, they had a meeting, they united together in one force and decided to take over the protection of life and property in their community. Yes, guys. So that's why I told you to this morning that I may not believe, I may not accept in totality the idea of Nnamdi Kanu, but one thing I will not take from him is that he had actually done well by putting up this mammoth crowd we see here today. This is how the JTF actually started in the north. This gave birth, this actually the JTF started in the north. With this level of protection, if the Southeast governor are actually thinking they should get all these boys together, retrain them according to the tactics that is operable in the Nigerian military, and commission them into protecting lives and properties in the whole of the Southeast. how the freedom comes, we need to take it. Let me tell you guys, the South is still under the shackles of the northern oligarchs. Believe it or not, there's no freedom for us as a people. We are still under the oppression of the northern oligarchies. That is why I am pleading with the youth. Put our difference aside. Let's fight for the unity of the South. In unity, there is great strength. Even the Bible said 1,000, 2, 10,000. Bible understood the power of unity. That when we are united, we can move the immovable. When we are united, we can destroy the undestructive. When we are united, we can be able to pull down every form of evil plan against the southern Nigeria. Guys, hear this now. Ango Abdullahi, the man who went to the south and was ranting like a demented mad dog, went to the south, ranting, threatening lightning and brimstone right under his nose, some few kilometers from where he's staying. 333 students were kidnapped. This bandit came on Friday. They shot periodically to the air on Friday. They shook the entire environment on Friday. They left and returned back on Saturday and invaded the school and carted away with 333 students, according to the governor, Governor Bello Masari. Can you imagine that, guys? The audacity of those people. Where were the security agency? Where is that man who went to the east and was giving the Enugu State governor ultimatum, threatening what his people, his youth, will do to the southern Nigeria if any other northerner is being killed? I have not heard him speak since on Saturday. In Edo where Abunubo. His mouth has been padlocked. Where is the Yerima, the new president of the Araba Youth Forum? I have not heard him speak. His mouth has been zipped up. Where is the Sultan of Sokoto, the head of the caliphate, and the president of the oligarchies in the north? I've not heard him speak over the atrocity that just took place under the watchdog of the Fulani-controlled military architectures. They're not going to speak because it has nothing to do with the South. If it was the South, maybe they would have had something to tell you. I am calling on all the governors. Sheyi Makande, Shawolu, what is the name of this one? Akiredulu, Fayemi, Who is there again? Who is another governor from the southwest that I've forgotten? Then in the south, we have Obaseki, we have the Cross River State governor, we have Wike, we have Okowa, and we have the Akobo State governor. In the east, we have the Anambra, we have the Enugu, we have the Imo, we have which other state is that again? All the states in the south. It's hard time you people put your differences aside and have a one united force. Otherwise, we the youth will clear you people out of the seat of power and take control of the government of our region come 2023. We are tired of you guys. We are tired of your lukewarmness, your inability to protect us when we are being killed in our numbers. When we are being massacred, either by the police, being controlled by the Fulanis, or by the bandits coming from the Nigers, or by the elders. So in every area, we are really being killed by these people. All people fight for is your position. You are so much interested in the position that you are occupying today that you do not want to say anything to offend the powers that be, the principalities and the power that control the Nigerian system. So you keep quiet. You scared of what they will do to you. So because of that, you are ready to sell the future of your children and your children's children for a pot of porridge. You must begin to speak to these people. Fear is one thing that has actually held the South captive for too long. The East has been afraid, but thank God for Nnamdi Kanu, who has given them some level of courage. Leave it or accept it, guys. Like I said, I'm not Nnamdi Kanu fan. But there is one thing that I've seen, he has been able to give the Southeasterners some level of courage. They've killed many of the IPOB members. But the more they kill them, the more determined they are. I must give it to him for that. If we can get the same kind of man in the Southwest, who can also gather such a momentum like Nnamdi Kanu is doing in the Southeast, and we can get the same man in the South, that can also gather the same momentum like what is happening in the Southeast today, guys, I can promise you the North will sit well. Hate him or like him, I must say the good part of him today. You people know I've done a lot of video against some of the things he does. But with this one he has done that I saw today, with this crowd that you are seeing here, I must give him kudos for it. I don't care what anybody thinks, but I think he has actually done something. With this crowd we are seeing here, he has actually proven that he had the ability, the capacity to lead. A man that is far away in the United Kingdom, controlling his people just with a phone call or with a radio station. And the people are jumping up and down, obeying his orders to the last. Such a man we must respect him. Yes, guys, that's the truth. We need unity. The South needs unity now. We are tired of division. We can't win this battle when we are divided. We can't win this battle. The North knows they are doing everything to make us to be continually divided. I said in one of my broadcasts when I did one day, I said, this man, Anglo Abdullahi, went to River State first because of the little fracas between the River State government and the IPOB. In Oyibo, now become Obibo. They went there first because they just wanted to ignite, to expand, to put more fuel on the already problem or little misunderstanding between two brothers. They have a very good tactical understanding on how they know how to manipulate the system. And when they did that, some of my Igbo brothers went on the social media, lambasting Wike. Wike, in retaliation, gave these people an assurance that he's going to protect their people with the last drop of his blood. That was a political manipulation created, orchestrated by these people in order to widen the problem, the war between Wike and the Igbo people. They are very tactical in their modus of operandus. But until we know, guys, that as brothers we can make mistakes, we should not allow an external person to speak into our problems. Here it is, guys. Let me shock you. Do you know the middle belt? They actually killed the middle belt for quite a long time. Do you know they actually killed the middle belt for a long time? They refused to allow anyone to intermediary in the affairs of the middle belt. They knew how they were able to bring a peace back to the middle belt by themselves. These people are very intelligent people. Obasanjo, when Obasanjo came to power in 1999, he was the one that actually made the middle belt to understand that they're not part of the North. Yeah? Before the coming of Obasanjo, let me shock you a little bit with this. Do you know the Civil War? The Civil War was actually fought by the middle belt. Gowon was the middle belt. T.Y. Danjuma was the middle belt. The major actors of the 1967 Civil War were actually run by the middle belters, not the core North. No. Now, when Obasanjo came, he now decided to destroy the North into 3 regions to not pave way for him to not be able to manipulate the middle belt against the core North. But he only worked for a very few time. Even at that, anytime they want to have the Northern Elders Forum, they call the middle belt to come there. They know why. That in unity, they have strength. Even when Fulani enemy were killing the middle belt like chickens, their governors were still attending Northern Governors Forum. They are going to be still attending the Arawa forums. They refused to break away because they understood the power of unity. They could not add them together. This is what I am clamoring for in the South. There is more differences in the North than any difference in the South, guys. The Northerners are more divided internally than the South you can think about. There are some part of the North that will not marry another Northerner. Go ask people. But every Southerner will marry anybody from the East to the West. We have no limitation on who we marry. But they have a limitation on who they marry, guys. But when it comes to the issue of political issues, affairs, they are united as one, indivisible entity. They put their differences aside and they forge ahead as one body. Guys, I am telling you with every iota of doubt or truth in me that you can be able to do the same thing for the Southern Nigeria. Only if we decide to put aside every form of differences in us. Let's build on the unity. Let's build on the love. Two brothers do fight. Even husband and wife, they do have issues. But they never separate. Let's build on that love. Let's love begin to grow more within us as Southerners. Because with the youth, who our future is being mortgaged by these criminals in power. Many of these people, the lowest age man there is about 55. They are gone. They know they have little or nothing left to live for. They have already acquired mansions all over the world for their families. They've exported their children out of the shores of Nigeria. They've exported their wives out of the shores of Nigeria. They know you and I have nowhere to go because we don't have the financial capability to live in another man's land. But they forgot one thing. They forgot one important thing. There is no place like home. With all the wealth you have acquired, you are still a slave in another man's land. Joseph in the Bible was an example. The black Americans today are still being treated as slaves in America after over 3 centuries. That is why, if you're a youth guy, don't see an Igbo man as your problem. Don't see an Edo man as your problem. Don't see a Yoruba man as your problem. Don't see an Isoko man, an Ijo man, an Isekiri man, an Ibere man, an Abba man, Ibanke man, Isha man, an Afe man. Don't see them as your problem. Guys, see the leaders of your community as your utmost problem. They are the people that have actually led you, allowed you to be in the state that you are today. The only way is to kick these people out of power, take over the control of the power in the South. They will not decide on the way to go. I'm asking now the Kano to please, in 2023, begin to muster, prepare people you know that have what it takes to lead the affair of the East. Tell them, tell the youth, Let there be a well-articulated campaign that all the youth in the East must vote for a particular candidate, being future by the future youth of the East. Let the same happen in the South. South. Let the youth, not corrupt youth like Desmond Elliott, not people that will sell out their future for a pot of porridge, but people that have the ability to withstand whatsoever that will be coming to them and will be ready to be able to change the narrative all by themselves. And let's see what's going to happen. You're going to see a certain Nigeria that will be bettered out of the entire war. You're going to see a better, more structured, more functional, more articulate, more focused leadership. This is what we need in the South. To be able to make things workable. We don't have the South, we don't have a Southeast. Korode Peters, Akin Baby. No Southeast, no Southwest, no South. We are Southerners. We must stop this unnecessary division, please, guys. We are Southerners. They have Northerners. In the North, they have Fulanese language. They have the Kanuri language. They have the Hausa language. These are three major big languages in the North, guys. Don't let anybody deceive you. But what they do to us is they divided us along ethnic group in order to divide us the more. That was a plan of their masters, the British people. They refused to divide the Canaries. They refused to divide the Hausas. They refused to divide the Fulanese to not go on their way. Even the thieves in the middle belt. The middle belt are not Hausas. They are thieves. Please subscribe. Please, guys, subscribe and give us some likes. Share, subscribe, please, guys. We need this. Thank you, guys. The thieves are not even Hausas. But they make all of them one. The thief owns the entire middle belt. They control middle belt. They have larger number of people. More, very close to the number that we have in the East, guys. Don't be surprised. They are trying to use... Listen, come on. Do you know the entire southern Nigeria, from the east to the south to the west, is about 1.9 something million kilometers square? Do you know that the middle belt alone is bigger than the whole southern Nigeria? Do you know that the northeast alone is bigger than the whole southern Nigeria? Do you know that the northwest alone is bigger than the whole southern Nigeria? Listen, guys, they deceive us. They're about 2.something million square kilometers. Both in the southeast, in the northeast, northwest, and in middle belt. But these idiots, Lord Lugard, God will punish, and all his cohorts, we divided the south, a small part, break us into pieces, divided us from the beginning, and left the giants people to live together as one. Whereas in that place, they have more ethnic group than we do. The thief is a major ethnic group in the middle belt. The Hausa is a major ethnic group in the north. Whereby the Fulani is another major ethnic group in the north. We have the Kanaris. These are ethnic groups that are much much people. But they didn't talk to them. They bound them together as one entity. And they put the leadership on the caliphate. But when it comes to the south, they divided us into pieces. They destroyed the fabric of unity in the south. The north is 6 times bigger than the south in size. It's a 65% to 35%. 65% to 35% of landmass. Why will anybody that is reasonable in his brain, if people were not having a plan? No. No. The division will be there in the south. The eastern region, the Midwest region, and the western region. With the northern region. We have 4 regions before the coup of 1966, man. We have the 4 regions in Nigeria before 1966 coup. So it was not Aguiyi Ironsi that divided that. It was after the war that Gowon divided the country into 12 states. That's when he divided the East, because he wanted to break the power of Ojukwu then. Now divided the East into different states. We now cap up Port Harcourt from the East. So that's what happened, guys. Okay? How can you divide a small people? 1,000 plus. 1.9 million a landmass. And you left the entire north of about 7-something million landmass. You left it to be one entity. You divided the south. That is a pure calculated attempt, because they know that the Nigerian of the today will get to this point. If they are allowed the South to unite the way the North would have united, whatever differences that we have today, we would have sorted it out, because we have been together by force. Nothing would have stopped us. Okay? Kayode Peters, please. We have overgrown. We have gone beyond the 1966. You were not even born then, I'm very sure, sir. Were you born in 1966? So you knew nothing about 1966. That was a thing of the past, and we must put that behind us, and we must begin to work together in one unity. If not, we will remain in this perpetual, slavery that we have found ourselves today. The analysis you are bringing today is as a result of what the North want you to know. Go read the history. The Aguiyi Ironsi never divided the South. The South, let me tell you, before the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914, we had the North and Central Protectorate. While the South was coming to join the North, the South was divided into 2. One was called the Southwest, and the other was called the Southeast. The headquarters was in Port Harcourt, and one was in Ibadan. Lagos was the colony of the British people. They did not have their headquarters then in Kano. Okay? So, during the amalgamation, we had three regions in Nigeria. So it was until 1963 when the Midwesterner, the then Edo Delta, decided to ask for their independence through a referendum that eventually came into place in the year 1963. In 1963, then the Midwest region was carved out of the Western region, which now gave us 4 regions in Nigeria, 3 in the south, and 1 in the north. Okay? So the only thing that Agoye Rossi did in the 1966 January 15th coup was the introduction of the unitary system of government. Okay? Was the introduction of the unitary system of government, which the North now takes today as an advantage, because that now actually favors them based on the fact that they are incapacitated educationally and otherwise. So that is what happened, guys. So there was no way, it was not time. It was the British that has been there. Apart from that, that is gone. We are in an era where we can be able to change the narratives. Our time, we must unite. We must speak in one voice. We must operate in one united force as a people who are ready to change the narratives that is happening in our nation today. We have what it takes. We are intellectual people. We are the most mobile set of people in Nigeria. We are exposed. In every city in the world, there is a Satana. In every city in the world, even in Afghanistan, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Kuwait, in Saudi, in the most remote part, in Vietnam, in Jamaica, in Haiti, there are Satanas living there. We sojourned. We are good explorers. We have gone far, so we understood what life is all about. The only thing that is dividing that is making us to remain the way we are today is because we are not united. We are the best in every area. We are the best in every area. Yes, my brother. The only way we can get that what Rollins did in Ghana is when the youth take over power, not these greedy individuals. That's why we need a government of the youth. Not corrupt youth, to a youth that actually have what it takes to fight for justice. That's the way we can kill all of them. All of them that have ruled from 1960. So we got to the better, they stay alive. We'll keep them. Those of them that are dead, we'll go and dig their grave. We'll dig their grave. We'll put their bones in the dock, in the court of law. We'll judge their case. And if they found guilty, we'll use rope to tie their bones together and use God to scatter their skull. Kill them again before we go and bury them. When the court said you are found guilty for corruption, we'll use rope to join all the bones. We'll go and tie them to a stick and shoot their bones, scatter their skull with the bullets. We can only do that when the youth will be in power. Youth has only understood what they are clamoring for. Guys, if you believe in this video, please begin just to share. Give us like. I am tired of this thing we are passing through in the South. Let's vote these people out. Vote, don't sit home. Vote them out. Vote them. Go and look at the East. Is all these idiots who are our governors, all their houses are in Abuja and Lagos. Go to the South, the same thing. It's even this guy, this wicked that I'm still respecting, who refused to build us in Abuja. You know what? All of them, they ran to Abuja. Not build us in Abuja. Leave their state. If there is war tomorrow, you will lose no properties in Abuja. If there is war today, you will lose no properties in Abuja.
You will dash it to all these Hausa people. We cannot continue sitting down and life full and yes may kill us. Guys, we're tired. We are all scared to go home. This year now, many of us refuse to go home because of the insecurity situation in the country. Binia Uchi Road now is a no-go area. Binia Road to Lagos is a no-go area. Or area there. Then down to Okada in Ovia North. It's no-go area for us. The same thing with Lagos Ibadan. No-go area. Abuja, Kaduna, they're not down at their own anyway. Down and not. In no-go area. Now they have migrated now into kidnapping people in schools in the north. When they finish kidnapping the people in the north, what will they do? They will come to south. When they finish kidnapping people in the north, there's nobody to kidnap anymore. They will move to south. Before I go, let me tell you this. One thing that the northerners uses is fear. Fear. The power of fear. The power of fear. They torment you with fear. They are tormenting our youth in the south with fear. Imagine they rehabilitate Boko Harams, who they said surrender by themselves, and they incorporate them into the Nigerian army. Boko Haram. Who is the commissioner who is the commissioner? Bros, you don't understand, Bernard, you don't understand what I'm saying. Also, always try to listen to what I say. I say one thing that I respect Wike for. He refused to build his house in the north. Every one of us have our own weak point, guys. We can't defeat these people until we put our differences aside, my brother. I do not subscribe to everything that Wike does. I do not subscribe to everything that Nnamdi Kanu does. I do not subscribe to everything that Asari Dokubo does. That's the truth of the matter there. But every one of us have our good side, we have our bad side. But the only way we can be able to fight this monster is when we sit down as a people and try to define our differences as a family. This is what they do in the north. But they always want to make us feel it is not possible to do it in the south. That is the problem, guys. Okay? So everybody has their own plus and minus. I just said Wike had a very good one because it doesn't leave River State. He had nobody that is going to, just like Peter Obi. I'm not saying they are good guys, but everybody had their own good part. But what we need right now is you and I, who are the youth of tomorrow, who have gone out of Nigeria, who is now in overseas, who have seen government operating. We need to unite together and fight a common cause, making the southern Nigeria better. We need restructuring. If they don't give us restructure, then we can say, "Oh yeah, to your Israel." That's the truth of the matter there, guys. They will not accept one Nigeria, brother. They will not accept one Nigeria if they have all it takes to rule us. Emeka John, we know that. The reason why they're having power today is because of our leaders. Our leaders are the one giving them that right to override us, brother. Why can't they come to? Do you know that the other day, the Southern leaders led by Okowa, South leaders led by Okowa, told them they want restructuring. But did not listen to him. Do you know why? Because it's only 5 states now. Who are you people? Shut up your mouth. You mean nothing to us. But if, for instance, that statement that came from the South region actually came from the entire southern region of the West, the East, and the South. And the South that said, we want this nation to be restructured now. And they decided to boycott every meetings from Abuja. They decide to make sure that they do not have anything to do with the center until they have what they clamor for. They put an embargo on society things because the land is under the control. The land is under the control of the governors. But today, I promise you guys, the North would have sat down to start having a rethink. Now, do you also know that in 2018, there is a committee set up by APC, led by Malame Nasir Rufai. Go read this article on Channel Television. He said they already had a plan. They put a laid out structure on resources of Nigeria that even resources should be returned back. They should go back to the old system of government. And I expect my certain brothers who are in power today to take such an opportunity and act with it. But no, alas, they won't do it because it's not going to favor them. It's not going to favor them. It's not going to favor them. You put a thing before the table, but when you are not united, it is difficult. We are too divided in the South. Too divided. That's the truth. The entire Northeast has civilian JTF. The entire Northeast has civilian JTF. There's no state barrier in JTF. Why will it happen only in the South? Why are we not united? Until we put our difference aside. But put our difference aside. Thank you, my brother. This is what I'm saying now. Somebody in Abuja control our oil. We are sitting down here not talking. We will put, listen. The oil of the Niger Delta belongs to the entire southern state. That is the reason why we must put our difference aside and fight for what we think is right, guys. We are tired of them trying to bamboozle us with all their plans. It's not working anymore. Go and look at the good land. Destroy completely. Go look at Gelegele. Destroy completely. Look at everywhere. Go look at Escravos. The people that are suffering. Where the oil of this nation, the wealth of this nation is being extracted from. But go to Kanu. Go and see an overhead bridge, the longest overhead bridge in the whole of Africa was built in Kanu. They divide your resources from the south, guys. Enugu, you have coal. A lot of coal in Enugu. A lot of coal. The Niger Delta, you have oil. You have iron ore. You have all kinds of minerals. embedded in the soil. But when they take all this money to Abuja, Edo State has only 18 local governments. Kano State has 44 local governments. The lowest local government in the north is 28. They share your resources by the number of local government in each state. So they take the lion's share. They have about 19 states in the north. Then 50% of the money is in Abuja, which is also part of the north. Okay? They then give 20% to the entire south to share. And the south, where the oil comes from, they give the 5%. Because our leaders, they've asked them, go, thief the money, do it with whatever you want, nobody cares. They will dance home. They will dance home, happy, home. Then the money they give to them, they will share it among themselves and leave us to suffer. Because when we cry, they will say, leave them, they let them just cry, nothing happens. The problem is we, the youth, need to start seeing these people as the source of our underdevelopment. The Southern youth are too intellectuals to live the life we are living today in this very particular country called Nigeria. We are too intellectual. We're too smart. We're too wise. I hope tonight I will be able to make you guys understand why the youth must join us together to end the reign of power of these Southern politicians or leaders who have sold us out for their own personal selfish interest to the north. How can you imagine? In my state, Edo State, the Oba of Benin had no oil well. As a king of Benin Kingdom, the Olu of Warri had no oil well. Neither do the king in Ijoland have no oil well attached to their names. But all the emirs in the north have oil wells. All the bourgeoisies in the north has oil wells. There was a time Tiwa Tajima said he does not even know what to do with his money anymore. During the 2015 election, the reason why they decided to take away Jonathan is because that was a year all the oil west contract was supposed to expire. And Jonathan already had a plan of returning the oil way back to the original owners. But what did they do? People like Amechi, people like Siva, and many of these political prostitutes in the south decided to sell out, all because of peanuts. And when the oil has expired, Buhari refused to renew the licenses of the southern Nigerians, but the licenses of the northern Nigerians were renewed. They live in affluence. When all the borders in the south were locked down, they opened the borders in the north for inflow and outflow of commodities. The price of goods and services jacked up in the south, but remained relatively balanced in the north. This as and nobody spoke about it. This is why we must do justice to our corrupt leaders who are sold out, all because of porridge, a pot of porridge, the position that they want. But begin to make them understand that it is time for us. It is time for us to be working towards emancipation of the shattered Nigeria from the strongholds of the political criminals in the south, whom the Northern Caliphate. That's the only way we can be able to have a freedom that we so much desire. Because if even tomorrow we have our own nation with these crops of political criminals amongst us, I can promise you they will still corrupt the very least of the people in our states. What Generals did in Ghana, he understood that for him to have a more clearer and a more articulate nation, some set of people who are becoming a virus to the political scene of political system of the Ghanaians needs to be wiped out. That's why he took the risk, which he took by making sure that every of these political criminals that were in power as at that time, who were found corrupt, were all eliminated. That elimination gave rise to a new Ghana. It gave rise to a Ghana with a focus. That was where Ghana started progressing, that today Ghana is one of the best nations in Africa. Yes, he understood. Leaving these people, they will corrupt the ones that are coming. We need a youth with such a level of determination to make a change in the nation called Nigeria. Buhari have been in government since 1960. Basanjo have been in government since 1960. IBB have been in government since. Every of these people you see today, go check their history. They've been in government since 1960. They have refused to leave the corridor of power for their own personal, selfish interest. Rather, they became a virus that any new guy that is coming in, they infect this new generation with their virus. And this new generation will be cropped into whatsoever meta thinking that they put in. Like Desmond Elliott. Like this Ali Macaulay, this lady. Like Yaya Bello. And many other young guys who would have come out to make the difference. But rather, get themselves, enveloped in the cultural saga. The virus had already come and it has entered them like the COVID-19. Unknown to them, they are already ending. Before they know what's happening, they are now, operating a symptom of corruptness in them. They will lose focus. Like Dino Melaye. And many of them today. The Fulanis, they are Nigerian Fulanis who came with Usman Dafodo in the 15th century. Okay? They have Nigerian Fulani who came with Usman Dafodo in the 15th century. There's what we call the Jihad War on the northern states. They took over the northern state and they began to rule them. Now, many of the Fulanis do not actually have a home. They are nomadic in nature. So, because of the cultural development today, and the only nation where they have hold to power Yeah, okay, guys. I need to go right now. This is going to be the end of the show tonight. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the evening. Have a nice day. God bless you all. Thanks for your time. Bye right now.